But yeah, man, I thank you for coming on here today, Augustin.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited.
For sure. So, yeah, getting this started, would you be able to give us a little bit about who you are and what you do exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a human being that started making music as a kid and connecting with something else, I would say, like some sort of light that would run through me the minute I would start making music or just creating or listening to melodies. And with that, there was like an inner discovery to follow, which was music, sometimes writing, and then I tried acting for a while. I didn't go with that, and I would say, yeah, I'm just a being that recently discovered that there was a bit more than the human paradigm, and art was the connection for me to discover that, I would say.
Mm,
So what I do is music mostly, and then I write a lot, and I love this idea of communicating what I'm learning in my experience to others and to see if they resonate, and then trying to create a connection. As I was saying before, we started rolling. I'm from Argentina, and I moved to Scotland, and I feel it really depends on where you are internally is how you meet people. So it doesn't really have to
hmm
do the connection to other humans. To me, it doesn't really have to do with the with they are where they are coming from, their origins, but how they vibrate inside and if they're genuine or not. And you can sense that, just like we were talking about before. There's something
Yep.
about how you see people, and yeah, that's my connection to people as well. So if I had to define myself, I would say, yeah, again, a being that loves art and loves moving through this existence with with an open heart to discover new things. And recently, my life has changed quite a bit. So that's why I don't really define myself with necessarily what I do, but that is like a transportation to get me somewhere, I would say. But it's always here to the present moment. It's a beautiful thing being human.
It really is. Amazing. So, what did you come to find outside of the human paradigm, as you said? And how did you discover that really?
hmm So when I say human paradigm, I would say how I was probably thinking before. I had a period in my life where I was unable to sleep, unable to connect with other people, and I was having panic attacks for months on end, and almost for a year. And I sort of started. I mean, I was desperate, so I didn't know what to do, who to talk to, and then I thought to myself, there has to be something else. Why I'm experiencing all this is it was my world falling apart, like everything falling apart, and that was like I would say 8, 9 years ago, and that really dark year led me to discover some things that you would label as spirituality, if you want, like connecting to yourself. And basically, when you're living a certain way all your life, and all of a sudden everything doesn't make sense anymore, like anything makes sense anymore, and you question your paradigm. So why are you still doing the things you do the same way you always do? Why are you keeping the same habits, the seeing the same people and things like that? So I knew at that point that there was something else. And my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, she's a music therapist and a sound healer. So she recommended me to start going to a therapist. And this therapist was he would play the gongs, the singing bowls, the gongs, and he had this special energy to him. And I did like 7 sessions, with him, and it was just receiving the gong bath. I would just meditate or just close my eyes. And it was in the last session that I had this massive kind of thing that changed everything for me. And that was the minute I realized I had like a confirmation that there was something outside the human paradigm, as you were asking,
Mm.
which was unreal. If you want, I can go into detail into that experience a bit, but that was like how I discovered there was something else, maybe.
The power of music and the power of sound.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Mm.
Yeah,
I like to say that music is proof of God. It's
that's
magic,
beautiful. That's beautiful.
right?
Yeah,
It's like, what really is it, man? And what it does to us, it's so unexplainable.
yeah, because it heals you, but it also makes you revisit emotions. It can make you stuck as well in a certain emotion, and it can make you
Mm.
go into a loop or then break out of the loop.
Mm.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's magic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine a life without music. It would be so bland.
Yeah,
There's something so innately human about music.
yeah. And now that you mentioned that, when I was going through that really dark period, I couldn't listen to music and I couldn't like make music. So I started doing something else, even though I always had make music. Because every time I would listen to a song, I would have a panic attack and I would feel
Wow.
like some form of claustrophobia kind of thing.
Mm.
So it was really intense and really deep. And on the other side of that, and having that awakening and that on that day, that it was kind of a kundalini kind of energy rise. And after that, I got to experience music again for the first time because I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to concerts. I couldn't watch movies. I couldn't do anything. It was like really deep, intense year. And the moment
Mm.
I was sort of on the other side, I realized there was some inner still place, like a massive kind of field of energy that was always there, and I could access that. And when I was there, I couldn't feel the panic. I couldn't experiencing anything else other than that. And from that space, I started discovering music again, and it was life changing. That's why my entire life changed. The way I make music, the way I speak, and of course, you always get to learn everything and anything. Like everything is like a constant experience and evolution,
Yeah.
but it starts with your being, and that place, that wider space, is the minute we leave that human paradigm behind. You sort of allow it to happen, and I get the goosebumps. It's so beautiful. So that led me to discover the music again. So yeah, I to live without music is to live,
It's to not live at all.
because music is in nature as well. It's just inherent. It's part of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I like to think our whole life is one big song,
That's beautiful. Yeah,
right? This whole thing is just one big song. It's a
yeah,
song of God, the Bhagavad Gita. And you're either playing along or you're playing at your own your own tune. You can either play along with the
yeah.
song of God or you can try and play your own tune. I would recommend you try and play along, get in the orchestra, find your
Exactly. Yeah.
place.
Hmm. Otherwise, it's your lack of perspective that is making you play along, because you don't actually need to suffer. That's the one thing
Mm.
I discovered, is like suffering, until you realize there's no need to suffer, then it becomes optional. Of course, things happen
Wow.
externally. Of course, then we have to go through certain emotions, but then as the minute they sort of go away, that they pass you by, you are free. So in a way, you can start your life again just now, like snap of the fingers, and be present and just rebuild, refocus, and just be. Actually, there's nothing to build. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Such a paradox, because it's
Amen.
everything is here, just like that massive song. But the playing of that song, you're saying your life is the full song if you want, but keeps on going eternally. So you're sort of
Mhm.
in the guitar solo part of the bit, or the I don't know,
Yeah.
it can be so interesting and beautiful if you allow it.
Mm. I like that. Yeah. It's like an improv song,
Yeah,
improvisational music.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Yeah. Now, would you say that is one of the biggest insights or realizations that you got from seeing outside of the human paradigm? Is that we don't really have to suffer anymore?
100%. But the thing is, we've been conditioned in our bodies to suffer.
Yeah.
So the minute you do something that you were used to doing, and you live it for the first time again with new eyes, with a new paradigm, then you notice that your body has still sensations and feelings that it goes through in order to cleanse. So that's a bit of that suffering shadow work kind of thing, that it's sort of everlasting, because we are never really clean. It's like we need to clean ourselves every day, just like we do, just like we eat. We need to like center. Otherwise, your body would start adding up toxins and everything just from your emotions and feelings that got stuck from the past. So every time you go through something that you had an experience before as a trauma, I feel like the moment you can talk about it without any resistance, that's when you heal. But until that moment, you still need to let your body like be free again. You can be
Mm-hmm.
free in your mind, but your body is really important, is your vehicle. So if it's stuck, then it gives you some sort of fear or fight or flight reaction, then it is the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would say outside of that human paradigm is the idea of not pushing and not being resistant all the time, but just allowing. And that's definitely not part of the human paradigm where we need to struggle and suffer all of the time. That's, you need to be the best. You need to, and actually, you're not even knowing or aware of how or where you are going. And the minute you bring some awareness, it changes the game to me, in my experience. So allowing, actually being able to trust, it takes courage, and it takes time, or it can be instant, but it's really depending on how true you believe that to be, if that makes sense.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like we allow the song to be played through us. That's the thing,
You got it, man.
right? Surrender. I
Beautiful.
like to look at the body as an instrument that we tune
Mm,
like a guitar.
that's amazing.
I mean, you can tune it very simply, as you said, through awareness, through the allowance of the energy that flows through. Because I think
Mm,
suffering essentially is just resistance of that energy through
oh,
trauma, from childhood trauma and childhood conditioning and
yeah,
from society, yada, yada. It's
yeah,
just resistance to the song, resistance to the force and that
yeah.
energy that wants to run through you. So essentially, if you just allow it
Hmm.
all through, man, and
Yeah,
it'll make everything smoother in
that's
time.
beautiful. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
believe there comes a point where you don't have to go through the healing anymore. The healing um, just becomes part of the experience, and it happens naturally, but you don't need to get like addicted to the healing loop, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because that can also take a lot of energy from you, and it keeps you, it's the mind again thinking you're healing, but when you allow your body to heal, it's a different game.
Mm. So, how would you say we go about that then? Do you have any practices or modalities you would recommend other than music?
Yeah, 100%. So what I do is really simple, to be honest, is to breathe through my nose, and to be aware of my breathing, and try to do a longer exhalation, and just count to 3, 6, 9, things like that. Whenever I'm like, when I wake up, I try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I say try because sometimes I just I never start my day the same way. By the way, I don't really have many habits, and that's a part of the learning curve of trusting. So it's not that I do it every time, but I like to breathe that way, and try to be conscious of my breathing as much as possible, because that regulates your nervous system. Basically, you get out of
Mm-hmm.
the fight or flight, and you go into more of a resting, healing sort of state, uh,
Mm-hmm.
activating your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's when you heal. That's when art comes through you. That's when your body is not occupied in something else. It's not busy with digestion, with overthinking. but it's allowing things to come through your body, healing as well. So I
Yeah.
would say something as simple as being aware of how you breathe. It's really important.
Yeah.
And then you can do different type of things.
Mm-hmm.
But just notice in different moments of the day, just if you stop and notice how you're thinking, how you're speaking to yourself and to others, and how you're breathing, that's a good start to regulate again and allow the healing to happen.
100%. It really is that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. We do, the mind makes it complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It seriously is that simple. Without using too much metaphor, too grandiose, too esoteric, it's just become aware of the breath and slow down the breath.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
it. And then, as you said, you regulate the system.
You definitely get the access to that esoteric, if you want, to the information, to the codes, to everything. But it's really
Mm-hmm.
simple to start. Otherwise, you're making it so complicated with the healing loop instead of just noticing that you are busy in your mind and you can let it go and just sort of restart, reset, charge your batteries.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long have you been on this path? How long have you been practicing?
So I had that Kundalini kind of experience when I think it was late 2017, 2018. Yeah, 2018. And since then, I started changing my approach to everything. I was at a job I didn't like, and something happened, and I I was able to leave because of how I was vibrating. I think because of my thoughts were different, so I was not stuck in the same pattern, in the same loop. So I decided to give it a go and try and manifest, if you will, the life that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to live, which was a life of freedom in terms of not necessarily having these super strict routines, which are absolutely fine, but they didn't work for me at the time because I write a lot of songs and I write a lot of and writing a book as well. And every time I'm writing it, it can actually hit me in any moment of the day. And I had to be ready and able to do that and then go and do my work, which at the moment is music. So,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, can you repeat your question because I got
I
carried
just
away?
asked you how long you've been doing this.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically that was 2018. And I would say May of this year was there was something that was undeniable. I felt in my body and I felt like I had a few experiences that led me to a shift. That if you want to label it 5D, or if you want to label that the new Earth or the Christ consciousness, I don't know. I know that putting certain labels is off-putting, and what I can say is from experience, I started making the videos I'm making just now because there was something I felt I needed to share because I know there are a lot of people going through that. And it was like all of the suffering, all of the drama and the trauma was outside of my body this time. And I could feel it like as I was rising above. And that happened all of a sudden in May this year. And that was to me the biggest kind of change of paradigm. But my spiritual awakening was back in 2018.
Yeah, what you just described is priceless. To be above it, to sort of transcend it in some
Yeah.
way. That may sound like bypassing, but it's not.
No, it's not because you still see it and you're not running away from it, but you're trusting the unfolding of
Yeah,
things. You're not
exactly.
all stressed
Faith.
out because if your nervous system is regulated, then you're not bypassing anything. Because the moment you regulate, you sort of start experiencing how you're feeling inside, your vibration. It really is true that you get to experience that outside in every aspect of your life, and it's such a beautiful thing.
It really is. If anything, it's actually an embrace.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of resisting, just like you were saying, it's flowing, allowing.
Mm,
And that goes to everything. That goes to money, health, goes to your inner discoveries, if you will. But it's all part
yeah,
of the same thing. You are creating that and you're allowing it to happen. But it's not your ego's creation. It's not what you
exactly.
think you should be doing, the lower self pushing and trying and
Mm-hmm.
having its own expectations, but allowing yourself to discover the voice of your soul, of your essence, of your true self.
Mm, yeah, the voice of the soul.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's something. I don't know if that's been written or not, but I'm writing a book under that name because I worked as
Oh,
a vocal coach for a while as well, and I used to
really?
teach people on how to basically go through the emotions that not go through them, but use them as a channel in order to be able to sing again. People that couldn't sing because they were blocking themselves, and they
Mm,
then could discover their own voice. And I remember, for example, there was this woman that she stopped singing for like 10 years because her daughter, when she was like 2 or something, she said something like, "Mommy, I don't like your voice." And she came to one of my lessons, and I noticed there was this tension in her. So we started doing some exercises just to loosen up the body, and then she started crying, and she sort of let go of that and said, "Yeah, I haven't been able to do this because I wasn't feeling enough because my child, when she was 2, said that I didn't have a nice voice."
that's
So
wild.
that's how you block yourself with everything. And that's why we need to make it simple, because we don't deserve that suffering that is coming from your mind and these structures that seem impossible to beat. We can, and it's a matter of doing it, trying it yourself, not just repeating. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I'm just trying to say that if you quiet down a bit, you are going to be able to listen to a different kind of guidance, which is not the
Yeah.
voice of your mind and your ego.
Mm-mm.
And that is how you sort of allow things to happen, in my own experience again.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Amen to that. Very well said. Yeah. Do you believe there's just, when one taps in this way, innate creativity that just comes from it?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's the source of your creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all creators.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's just that, like that woman I was saying, it's how you block it.
Mm.
But it's like a tap of water that you open in the sink and it starts running again.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm.
it's been shut down for a while because of, again, your
Yeah.
nervous system, your beliefs, what somebody else told you. So you need to give yourself validation, not to keep validating others and their opinions and all of that when it comes to yourself being free in whatever you want to do. We're all creative beings,
Mm-hmm.
each of us. It's just how you develop that and how you allow it to happen, just like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true power. It really is.
100%. Yeah, I made a video. I think it was the third video I made on this recent project, Awakening Mirror, and it's called "Allowing Source Energy to Flow Through" or something like that. But that's how I would say it happened to me, and it was through this breathwork kind of thing, and then being able to stay still, and then it just happens. But you need to allow it and not deny it with your mind. No, this must be me going crazy, or this is nonsense. You'll hear that at first, and it's your mind, and
Mm.
that's your conditioning. But leave that aside. Keep on writing like 10 minutes, and then something will happen. You'll tap
Mm-hmm.
into something greater.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I feel it.
Yeah, that's
And that's
awesome.
the thing, is what we've just spoke on in the last half an hour. You have to feel yourself. Like, our words only go so far for somebody else. We can just be testaments. We can just talk about our own experience. But if one really wants to resonate with what we're talking about, you just got to do it. You just have to allow.
Hmm.
That's it. All I can be is a reminder. and
Yes.
a testament to this wavelength that we're speaking on. So
Hmm.
just do it.
That's
Just do
beautiful. Yeah.
it.
And when
Right?
you get criticized or things like that, it's never personal. It's just because
Mm.
they sense this resistance, and then it might awaken something in them. And then in the long run, they might realize, okay, I was feeling like, even ourselves as kids, we would maybe criticize somebody because they were doing something we wanted to do and we actually never tried it. So instead of trying, your energy, because of your ego again and your fear, will criticize instead of allowing that for ourselves.
Mm.
And then it keeps you stuck on a loop as well. And I think we've all been guilty of that, of
Yep.
just that. There was one phrase that I heard recently that to me was so powerful and simple. It's like, you can't turn the light on for the ones who want to remain like sleeping.
Yeah.
uh, it's just, it's not your job. You can just
Mm-mm.
shine your light and do whatever you can and are willing to do to be comfortable in yourself and be authentic. And it's just by resonance that you'll attract some other people, because everyone has their own ways, and we are not here to force anything or just, yeah, I would say, if anything, just we are way showers by making
Yep.
music, by writing, by podcasting, by videos, to people that might feel a resonance and then start doing it themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
unblocking that kind of um, energy to flow through. We're talking about the same thing, and it's so funny how there are many ways to describe it, but in essence, it's how you resonate with the speaker that will make you get into it. Because you
Mm.
can criticize me or you, but then find like a sense of comfort in another, or and the other way
Exactly.
around. So it's just a resonance kind of principle, I think, in order to
Yeah.
just find your tribe.
Mm-hmm. Find the others.
Yeah, 100%. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the good news, is that nobody can do it for you. You have to save yourself,
Oh yeah.
essentially. But that may seem daunting also, because we're all looking for some kind of savior from the outside. Someone to save
Yeah.
us, make us feel okay.
Yeah, but
You know?
if we ask who is the one, for whom is it daunting? It's for
The
the
ego.
ego. It's for the fear again, because yourself doesn't even need anything. It's there when you allow it to happen. Because the moment you're
Mm-hmm.
flowing, you are that. You're one with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment we need a savior is because we are, yeah, in this mode that I live that way. Like, for example, my music career, I was always expecting somebody to come and save my music career and just probably give me
Mm.
a deal or something, like a record, uh, super production kind of thing to change everything. But I wasn't allowing any of that because I didn't believe in myself or my
Mm.
music, because all of the voices that I would hear inside. So the minute I realized that maybe I can just allow this energy and make music for me and the ones who resonate without pushing anything, and that's when everything changed. So I didn't need no
Yeah.
savior, other than the savior is actually letting go of that small self that is full of fear and your inner child. And that is so, I have to say something. I I think it was like 2 years ago that I was having a couple of big concerts, and I was a bit like afraid because I was I was in my head basically, because it was a restless kind of time. And I found at a shop this small Superman kind of kid, like it was like yeah, this toy, like a small Superman kid, and I just
Yep.
bought it and I brought it to me to, and in my concerts I would like sit it next to me, and I sort of said, you're good to come with me. I mean, you don't need to be afraid. And that to me was so powerful. And it made me realize that I was sort of integrating, if you will, that inner child, which is just that voice of fear. And it
Mm.
was sort of merging the kid with the adult, and just doing some form of, I don't know, getting into the same state as playing when you were a kid, just playing a chord for the first time on the guitar,
Yeah.
going out for a run as a kid with your go skateboarding, things like you enjoyed as a kid. To me, that was like, hey, you can come to me, come with me on stage, and you're safe here. And
Wow.
that to me changed everything.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I think we all have different ways of doing it, but sometimes it's just something symbolic. And it's with this that you start carrying that energy, and you sort of become free of that voice that keeps you stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then we can start to play again.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Exactly.
creativity goes hand in hand with play, the essence of play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More play,
It's
less
wild.
control.
We're talking about this. I had a conversation a few days ago, and we said the same exact things, but I haven't even released it yet. So it's kind of strange.
Wow.
I
All
was
right.
editing it
you,
yesterday,
you,
and
you can go somewhere else in the topic. It's fine.
oh, this is good. It actually means that we're speaking about something real, because it's
Yeah,
like, how
there's
do you?
like a
I'm like,
resonance.
how do
Yeah.
you know? We're
Yeah.
talking about the same exact stuff. It's
Yeah.
wild.
That's interesting. We'd love to hear that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about I think bringing that sort of damaged child and integrating it
Mhm.
into the adult.
Yeah.
It's, as you said, saying you're safe. And
Mm.
that's how you transcend the trauma, is bringing that sense of safety.
Yeah.
And with that safety is bringing play.
Mm. Yeah. Allowing
Yeah.
it, because I feel like when you have a trauma as a kid, somehow that takes you away from from the playfulness.
Yeah. It
And
really is.
your child was happy and playful until something happened, and then it got sort of blocked and stuck.
Mm.
And now you're bringing it back and saying you're allowed to play again. And the
Mm-hmm.
minute you're allowed to play again, you merge, and that's how you let it run and come back to life again. And that's really healing. That's really
Mm.
healing. It could
Yeah.
be symbolic, but the moment you actually, because everything, if you just read about it and say, oh, that's cute, but then when you actually implement it, when you do something as simple as that, but you set the intention, or the intention happens by itself, it's just so powerful.
Mm.
You play
Very
again,
powerful.
and it's like opening that tap of water again. It's the same analogy.
Mm-hmm. It's funny too, because we say in English, at least, to play an instrument,
Hmm.
right? Why don't we use
Beautiful.
another verb? We say we're going to play an instrument.
Yeah,
I don't use an instrument, I play it.
exactly. Yeah, that's
How do you say it in
beautiful.
Spanish?
Yeah, we'll say tocar un instrumento, which is, yeah, I would like touch it. I would
Touch the
touch
instrument.
the saxophone or the guitar, but it's not the same
So that's
thing.
different. So that's
Yeah.
unique to English for some reason.
No, I
Hmm.
definitely prefer the play.
How do you say play in Spanish?
Jugar.
What is it?
Jugar.
Oh, jugar. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so you wouldn't say jugar an instrument,
No,
right? That just wouldn't make any.
but you play sports. For
Oh, yeah.
example, jugar al fútbol, to play
Hmm.
football.
Yeah.
But so it really changes with the word as well, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that is so true, man. Yeah, you play music, yeah, because music is, it's there. It's just that you need to allow it, but it's not coming from
Yeah.
you. That's also one big realization that I had, is that
Uh-huh.
before I was trying to push and force, and this was my music and listen to my playing, and it's, what the, no, that's not how it goes. You're allowing
Mm-hmm.
music as a, yeah, as an instrument yourself to
Mm-hmm.
play, and you're playing throughout another instrument, which could be
Yeah,
your
right?
voice, your guitar, your piano, or whatever it is, or some healing instrument.
Exactly.
But yeah, 100%, it's not your ego playing, and it's not your song. You're allowing space for the song to write itself.
Mm. Really, any form of art is like that, I feel. It's not
Yes.
yours.
Yeah.
You're
That's
just a
when we start
conduit.
suffering and we start blogging ourselves, when we
Yeah.
make it about ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you don't even create good art when you make it about yourself.
Exactly. It's like that kid that wouldn't let other people play with his ball, and then he would be playing along.
Mm,
And because it's, no, this is mine. I'll just grab onto my ball and it's mine. And all the
mm,
other kids, it's where the playing happens. So it's like you trying to control your what you do is the same thing. It's like getting stuck and getting all like shut down, I think. It's
mm,
good to allow it, and of course you have an avatar in this world, and you have a name, and you have to do your gigs, and you have a name. It's like something you cannot escape, I think, if you want to be seen a certain way. But then the moment of playing the music, of writing, composing, it has to come from somewhere else, otherwise
mm.
it's not genuine.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just feel that in a bad or a good song,
Come
right?
again, sorry.
You can just feel that in the difference between a bad or a good song. Because there's plenty of music out there, but it doesn't mean it's all good, to be honest. And there's plenty of art, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
I
mean it's all
mean,
good.
yeah, and there's a time and a place for every song. The supposed good or bad ones, it's just
You
your
think
state
so?
of
I
being
don't
as
believe
well.
that. I don't know. There's some songs I'm like, I don't know, man. Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I think it could really depend on, because I see sometimes songs as like an ability to shift. Like it might give you a shift. It could be energy. Let's say someone is. I know some people who has been depressed, who have been depressed, and then they start listening to really bad music, if you will, like bad taste. But then they would change their inner state. And again,
Hmm.
to me, there's no good or bad because of that. I know my ego
I know
has a
what you're
lot of
saying.
opinions. I know, yeah, of course, yeah, oh, this record and whatever. But if you feel it, if you sense the frequencies and all of that, then like a lower, if you will, lower frequency, low vibe kind of thing could actually help you if you're in a dark mood to bring some energy and then break out of the loop in a way. So I'd say
I know what
that
you mean.
as a sort of, yeah, frequency shifter.
Mm.
But I get what you mean. We all have a personal taste and of that. But if we listen to that too much, then we might be missing. Especially if we don't listen but just judge. But of course, if you don't resonate with a piece of music, that's totally fine. That happens to every one of us, and it happened to me yesterday. Yeah, of course.
Stay hydrated.
Hmm. Amen.
But yeah, I want to go on the note of what you said about it's already out there
Mm.
with
Yeah.
music or art, any form of creativity. It's already existing seemingly in this ethereal realm, some sort of unphysical realm. And it's just up to you to be able to allow it to come in to the conduit of the body to
Yeah.
be transmitted through you. Because think
Beautiful.
about what is a song? It's just a bunch of patterns essentially. It's different notes and different patterns. Well, those patterns already existed before you were born. You know,
Hmm.
before the patterns of Stairway to Heaven were on recording, they were technically there. Technically, before Led Zeppelin existed, somebody in the Roman era could have wrote those same exact notes in
And
that
they
same
probably
exact
did.
sequence.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's something very peculiar,
Yeah.
especially for music. It's like it's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there, right? As some sort of unphysical form. It's not even a form. It's like it's an idea, some
Yeah.
sort of other maybe life form if you want to look at it like that. And it's
Yeah.
just up to you to be in the right place, the right mindset, the right I don't know, the right birth to
Yeah.
be able to conduit.
Yeah. And the more you stay present in order to allow that to come. Let's say
Mm,
you're writing a song and you wrote just 5 minutes of a song and then you had to rush and do something else that probably didn't have the time to develop. Sometimes if you remain still and do the work of sitting down, then sort of you get a different experience and a different, you get like the full thing, and then you curate that, if you will, with your persona if you're doing like a certain kind of music style. But if you allow the time for the thing to finish itself, then you might not even like it. It has happened
Mm.
to me that I write a song and then I listen and I say, okay, I get it, but I'm not sure I like it. But there was a reason why I'm getting this just now. I'm tuning into a field that is not mine, but then I can twist it to taste. And that's how every piece of music is different, I think. And then you keep channeling these lyrics and emotions, and then you can just do different adjustments, and then it gets playful again. It can be,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the colors you choose for painting.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Right.
And to me, recording, for example, I have a project. My music project is called One Man Dancing, and I go out and play a lot, and I never play the same thing the same way because I'm not able to do so. I cannot play the same song on the same key in the same tempo every time. Sometimes I do if it's like a cover or something that starts with a certain structure, but then I like for it to flow through. Otherwise, I feel this sense of claustrophobia I was telling you before with the music. So I feel like I need to get out of the pattern and allow whatever comes. So it could be good, bad, or whatever, but I just let it happen. And it's like, to me, having a set list is like, ooh, I'll try not to do that as much because then I'll need to change the key or go somewhere else with the melody. Otherwise, to me, it's not playing, but just reproducing. So I allowed that
Mm.
energy to play throughout. Yeah, that was something that, yeah, I just recently realized when I try to record something, it's so hard for me to do it because it has to be a certain way and it's like a picture and you cannot change it. And then you
Mm.
release a song, and to me, I always had a lot of um, I mean, issues, I would say, releasing songs because of that. Because I would revisit the song 7 months in, like, after the initial recording, and then I'm not the same, and not feeling the same things and all of that. So
Yeah.
now I realize it has to be like a picture, and the picture was just a moment, and it's a privilege to have that. And it's not about controlling, and it doesn't define you. It was something like a picture. But before,
Mm.
I would like even feel my sense of self was sort of holding there in my song, and everyone has to see something a certain way, otherwise it wouldn't represent me. And that was just the fear and the ego saying that. Because
Mm.
if they don't resonate with the song, that's fine. But I would make it about my project and me, and would take it personally. So learning
Mm.
to not take things personally, especially in art, oh my god, man, it's just a game changer.
Mm. Yeah, that's very pure, though. It's the pure way to create. That's really how art becomes real art,
Mm,
and very novel too. I feel as though for one to create some sort of novel art, it's about being in the right place at the right time. Like, only, especially music, but there's only certain things that could be made, it seems, corresponding to just that particular moment in time. For instance, like, if you tried to recreate, I don't know, art from the Renaissance today,
mm.
I don't think it would work. It was only particular to that time. Or you try to recreate 80s hair metal today, it was only in that time. So I think there's something about pure art being made and essentially channeled in a particular moment that if you try to redo it, if you try to re-record it, if you try to do it again, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Opening yourself up to that channel, to the flow, to the source, it's very, very, very novel. And um, you can't do it. That's the thing, is you can't do it yourself. If you
Yeah.
try to replicate it, there's going to be something inauthentic in the creation.
Yeah.
You can't fake being real. That's what I like to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you said the words many times. Um, I mean, it's the trying that is not the
Yeah.
being. Whenever we are trying, we're just trying. But you don't
Mm.
need, if you just be and if you allow it to come, and it's a different
Yeah.
thing. But the trying paradigm is gonna keep you stuck, just like you mentioned,
Yep.
trying to replicate. I mean, you can play along the lines with a set of instruments if you want, like 80s pop, and you get a synth sound, and then you write your song that way, and it comes to you organically. I love that. But if you're trying to,
Mm,
oh, this has this pattern specifically and this kind of drums, and let's do exactly that, and then we sort of, because we want to make something like, that's a different game. But if you use the same colors and the same textures and the same instruments, and then allow your thing to happen, it will probably take you
mm,
somewhere else. It can start with the spark, could be the inspiration of the genre, if you will, but then it'll go
yeah.
somewhere else, and that's how you discover something new. But I agree 100% with you, man.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's almost like, how do I put this? Art definitely is independently transmitted through you. There is a sort of like special puzzle piece that you bring to the novelty of what you create.
Beautiful.
But also, it's not independent. It's not completely independent. It's
Hmm.
inspired by something. Like what we're doing right now is inspired by, I don't know, other people that have done podcasts in the past, and other
Yeah.
people that have spread the Dharma, other people that have created music.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's also an important part
Mm.
to recognize, is that it's not done in an echo chamber necessarily. So it's weighing both sides. It's like recognizing the greatness that came before you in terms of creativity, but
Yeah.
also remaining open enough to not try to just be fluid in creation. So to not try to be too constrained to the past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
that's a skill.
yeah. And also, you can love a music style, genre, or a song, and a type of sort of mood musically, but then it might be not the one you make, and that's totally fine.
Mm,
It might be that you like listening to whatever artist, and then feel that you as an artist should sound like whoever we're talking about. But
yeah,
it's discovering through that, if you want, through through that listening, you might get some sort of inspiration to create, but not necessarily along the same lines, and that's totally fine.
yeah,
And then you sort of discover what happens next, because that's also putting yourself within one niche, within one genre. To me, it could start like that, but then I don't know, I just like to experiment. I prefer doing so within a certain genre, if you will. But I don't know, to me, I changed everything that I was doing musically, and I tell you something, I have like 200 songs that I haven't released because I was trying to see how to. So I have piano stuff, I have singer songwriting, songwriter stuff, and some compositions, and then some other stuff that is different. And I didn't want to box it into one thing. So I sort of, I'm letting things, allowing things to happen. So I'm only playing live and not recording as much just now, because I want to feel that the pieces of the puzzle, they fit together effortlessly, and they
mm,
will at some point. But it doesn't have to be a forced kind of thing in order to achieve something necessarily, because that was the way in the past to me, and it didn't work. Because the energy you bring to a project, if you're all desperate for the project to go, uh, I don't know, viral or whatever, you're just gonna suffer. And it may happen, but then you will lose it because you're in the energy of desperation, not in the energy of trusting and loving your craft. So it's your intention
amen.
as well that really changes
Oh yeah,
how a project is seen. To me, the expectations, when they are when they are coming from an inner discordance, I don't know. It's just, again, wearing the inside out and trying to do that, and not trying again, just
yeah,
allowing. It's just the paradigm
exactly.
of trying is so strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we can reflect that point onto all facets of our life. When you approach things with the intention of neediness, of that desperateness,
Oh yeah.
it's just gross.
Yeah.
You know, no
And
one likes
people
a
feel
needy
it.
person. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. It's just, Yeah, it's not conducive to any kind of flow. It's not conducive to any kind of creativity or good energy.
Uh-uh.
When you need stuff, that's the difference, man, between freedom and being imprisoned in your own samsara, your own
Yeah,
cycle of suffering. It's
yeah,
unconditionality or conditions.
yeah,
And when you approach life in unconditionality, that playful attitude, as we spoke of before,
yeah,
yeah, just stuff unlocks. Things just happen, and you
yeah,
truly enjoy life. That's the thing too.
yeah. That's the key. Otherwise, when you're trying to control it, it just doesn't happen, and you suffer.
Mm.
You're not even. Sometimes you're worried about the stats and how things are going instead of just being one with what you're listening to or one with what you're doing. If you're thinking about it and analyzing too much within the art making, and it robs you from the present moment, and it's the present moment that actually allows the thing to happen. And the same goes to the marketing and all that. When you push something because it has to be a certain way, it will certainly flop.
Mm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can push it, push it, push it, push it, push it, but then the moment you stop pushing, it stops happening because it's not organic. But the
Mm-hmm.
moment you allow, it will take you, it will lead you to where you need to be taken in order to heal, to break through, to inspire others. To We don't know about the orchestration that is going around us. So if we play our parts by just being genuine and loving, again, not desperation, but just love.
That's
But
it.
that's a change that has to happen, but it doesn't happen overnight. And I know a lot of people are shifting into this sort of, if you will, frequency instead of paradigm. And the moment it's the same with frequencies. I think this is actually really interesting. I think it's merging very well with the music kind of talk, because a frequency, you can shift into a frequency, but the moment you try to control it and say, oh, I am here, oh, I'm so fine being here, I'm blah 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 blah, then the one who is talking is outside of that frequency, because it can only
Mm.
be experienced, but it cannot be. It's just like your authentic self. It doesn't have a definition. You can grasp it, you can't grab it, you can only experience that. The same way you can only experience the flow of the divine, of the music, of source energy. When you try to identify it and label it and just make it like your own, then you're out of it.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know, you want to become famous, and being famous, it's here, and suddenly you become famous and you realize, oh, I'm so famous. Then whatever, it's that voice, it's gonna start eating up, and that's gonna, it's just, you're not allowing that to happen. You're coming from a neediness, just like you said before, sort of whatever you want to achieve in life, and it's coming from that lower sense, it's just going to get disintegrated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's very magical. It's beautiful to be in the love frequency. But if you think about it too much, if you define it too much, if you start like trying to push others into saying, oh, I'm here and you are whatever, that's coming from your ego and that frequency. Just like the song, oh, this is my song, this is my frequency. Oh no, the one talking about that, it's definitely like, again, it's a game. So that's why we don't need to build a really strong ego around that, which a lot of people do, and it's fine. And we all
Mm.
have our egos, it's inherent to us, I think. But when it comes to frequencies, spirituality, and all of that, the moment you sort of feel that you have it all figured out, think about that again, because the one who has that figured out, the one who thinks, is thinking, and it's not being. So it's the current, the flow that you need to allow. Otherwise, it's all, around that. And that force is undeniable. When you feel it, when you sense it, it feels like it has always been there. It can't be any other way. But you have to allow that to happen, not force it to
Mm.
happen, not try to happen, not try to do it. It's just tapping into that and living from that space.
Well said.
That's my experience with suffering. I mean, it's of your own choosing once you get to a certain point.
Mm-hmm. And then, as you said, once you feel it, you don't unfeel it.
Yeah, exactly. But
Once
you
you
do
know, you
feel,
know.
you do sense a discordance when you're trying to control it, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. all right, allow again. And that's the trusting, allowing process that has to happen almost every
Yeah.
single moment you have the awareness of it happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the journey, we could say.
Yeah, yeah. And the sense that the journey is the destination. If your destination is that frequency, is like living with an open heart, then
Mm.
your journey through life from that space, that sounds like the destination as well, because it's the unfolding, effortless unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes the one thing, and everything is just one thing reflecting itself, like
Yeah.
consciousness, experiencing its own consciousness and awareness. And yeah, if we get too much into words and entangled into that, we can make it complicated. But to be fairly simple, it's just that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and playing on the metaphor of the song. I love how this whole conversation is like some sort of metaphor of music.
yeah,
I didn't plan
beautiful.
it,
Love that. Yeah,
but playing on that metaphor, think about when I have a little experience with music. That's why I think we kind of relate.
I was about
You're
to
probably
ask.
a lot
Yeah,
better than I am, but I have a little experience. So think about when you're playing guitar, when you're playing any instrument, especially in improv, you're not trying to get to the end of the song, or even when you're listening to a song, you're not trying to get to the end.
yeah,
You're engrossed in whatever's coming through. And that's the
beautiful. Yeah,
essence of the journey is the destination. You're
yeah,
just engrossed with whatever is coming through, whatever is
mm,
flowing through the conduit of the
yes,
instrument of your body. That's why I believe this whole life is some sort of song,
that's
because it's
beautiful.
not about getting to the end.
Yeah,
You want to get engrossed
yeah,
in the song,
yeah,
become the song,
beautiful, beautiful.
right? Yeah, I feel it, man. 100%.
Yeah, it's the mind that wants to take you to the next bit like immediately. So you need to,
Yeah.
again, sort of distance yourself from that analytical mind all of the time. It has its
Mm-hmm.
place for the learning, for becoming one with your instrument, the technical if you want, but
Yeah.
then that aside, and you don't want to get to the end of the show and on the first song, and your mind does that a lot.
Yeah. It
And
always
that's when we
tries. Never
suffer,
gives
and
up.
that's when you notice somebody's like off and they're trying
Mm.
instead of playing. And yeah, just become, just what you said is so beautifully put. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's also important to note is the mind will always try and play its tricks, trying to control. That's
yeah,
for sure. It never goes away.
yeah. Just how we get to identify or not identify with it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's not part of the game, actually. The playing is not in the mind.
It's a good
I
point.
mean, it isn't. We use aspects of our minds, of course, but it's a different type of thinking, and
Mm.
it can happen like in the same state of flow. But the type of thinking that happens outside of the flow and wants you to, and your body also does that. It wants you to come back to a safe place, a safe space. That's the type of mind I'm saying that you shouldn't identify with.
Mm.
Because then, of course, if you're doing something like you're looping music and you have like three options, and then your mind sort of, it can be your ally, it can be your friend, but otherwise it can be your enemy when it starts like,
Mm.
oh, what button should I push, and then, oh, but last
Yeah.
time this happened and then I had a latch and then I couldn't do whatever. And that's the type of mind that you don't want to have while
Mm.
you're creating.
Yeah. When it tries to be the master and commander,
Yeah,
that's when you suffer.
100%.
That is when it's the enemy.
Yeah, and you feel it in your body these days with this shift. You feel it every time a bit more, until the point we are gonna be able to just finally let it go.
Mm. Some may call that enlightenment.
All right.
Call it whatever you want, but yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, I think this was an awesome conversation. On that note, we might be able to wrap it up, but do you have anything else that you'd like to say and get off your chest?
So thank you for having me. This new project that I started, that you contacted me, called Awakening Mirror, to me is something that I wanted to do as a journal, like a video kind of journal. And to me, it's so beautiful to find resonance with people like you that um, are here genuinely to help and here to raise the vibration, if you will, and just bring awareness, consciousness into daily life. And when you go through dark times and you feel like there's no room for everything that sounds too woo woo or spiritual or whatever, know that that's the moment you need it the most. And one thing I wanted to
Mm.
add is like we have two sort of beings, that ego and ourselves, our true selves. And sometimes our ego is the one who's gonna be saying, okay, this is probably not we don't have time for this. This is bullshit. We shouldn't be doing this, and it's gonna try to convince you to not follow your own path and get your own discoveries. But whenever, if I have to say just one thing that we could practice every day is to listen to that and allow it to dissipate and just trust your inner guidance, trust your music,
Hmm.
trust the message in you, your art. And just that, I think we're all here with that. We have different type of journeys, but in that we're all the same. I feel we have that resonance inside if we allow it to happen. And I just wanted to thank you for this space.
Beautiful. I thank you. It's an honor, truly.
The honor is mine. All right. Hope to see you
Awesome.
soon. And yeah, let's get in touch.
For sure. Keep up the good work, man. And peace and love to you.
You too. Peace and love. All right.
Peace and love, everybody. Goodbye.